So now we're going to show, look at O-Goshi, which is a kind of classic judo hip throw you see in the movies. There's loads of different entries to it, and there's some defenses we're going to look at as well. So the first entry we're going to look at is one we look at in the fundamentals class, which is when my training partner or opponent has a clinch over both of my arms here. So we're in a chest-to-chest position, he's gripping over both of my arms. This is obviously a very vulnerable position for me here. So from here, my first objective is to block his hips. I don't want his hips getting really close, because if he does get them really close, he can start to take me down. So I'm going to block his hips. I'm going to start to walk my hips backwards like this. As I get to the point where I can feel his grip starting to strain, I just start to shuffle my hips and flex my back. So I arch my back. Okay, to set up a hip throw from here, I want to first set up what's called the T position here. So I want to get beside my opponent. So I'm going to throw in an underhook on one side and pursue around to that side. So I end up with his leg between my knees, my head in his chest. Okay, to set up the hip throw, it's really key that we control the hand on the far side. This is what's going to give me the turn on Yusuf's body as I come in. So I'm going to look for a control, ideally on his elbow. But if I can't, I can also go on the wrist. But ideally, I wrap that elbow and I pull it nice and tight across his body. We then want to set up our legs into a position where we get underneath our opponent's center of gravity here. It's no use just putting my hip in like this and trying to turn Yusuf. I won't have the leverage. I need to get underneath his center of gravity, which is just here. I always think in this position of trying to sit on the inside of their far knee. So I'm going to step my outside leg across here. I then want to rotate my hips in, and as I say, think of sitting down onto the inside of their thigh. From here now, I'm going to do a squat up, and then I use this arm over the top to drive, and I pull his arm underneath, throwing my opponent over as Yusuf break falls. So that's an arm over position here, framing, getting our hips back, reaching and running to the side while we control the arm. From here, I take a step across. Usually the reaction I'm looking for is actually this foot to try and step out from between my legs. That opens up a nice angle for me to then step in. I step across toes to toes, turn in and sit on the inside of his thigh, and then I'm driving up with this arm as I pull across. So that's kind of a self-defense entry. There's loads of other entries we can hit it from too. It's quite good from a body clinch. Another position I often get it from is a collar tie here, and an inside grip on his wrist. What this allows me to do is reach for an underhook. So I grab inside his hand here, I throw it away and reach, and then I'm into this same position here. Maybe I'll try a tilt takedown, he steps out, and then I'm into a O-Goshi position, coming over the top, throwing. So it's obviously quite a powerful throw with a lot of entries, but if you know how to defend it, it can be quite an easy one to defend. So as I enter into my O-Goshi here, Yusuf's going to be really aware of where my hip is. As I come in and start to look to turn, so maybe he's stepped his leg out and then he realizes O-Goshi's coming, what he's going to do is he's going to push his hip in towards me, so it's hard for me to get underneath his center of gravity, and he's going to look to frame my hip as it comes in. You see how now I can't get my hip close enough to that point where I wanted to throw? Then this is a good position usually to disengage. There's other opportunities as well, but the most basic thing is just to push away, make space, and get himself out. So here, I'm entering into a body clinch position, looking to tilt. I feel O-Goshi coming, but Yusuf feels it coming. He's framing against my hip. If I really insist, there's also opportunities to take me backwards with throws like Tani Otoshi, where he reaches around my belt, he drops backwards, tilting me with a counter for his own takedown to a dominant position.